Hello and welcome back to another Talking Freight, brought to you by Ceresys, the transportation management company. As we move on in this Final Mile Talking Freight series, one of the most important parts of Final Mile, and the reason Final Mile is on the rise, is the rise of e-commerce. This week, we will address the role of Final Mile in e-commerce. Remember, Final Mile refers to the final stage of delivery, and the use of Final Mile in e-commerce can mean the difference between a positive customer experience and a return. Simply not delivering a package on time will dramatically increase the rate of returns, and poor Final Mile in e-commerce delivery can contribute to increasing costs. The best laid plans for e-commerce shipping will fail when shippers do not consider the final vital leg of the journey. And those that do take the time to understand the Final Mile challenges and focus on delivery can excel in e-commerce and deliver more freight to more consumers, boosting profitability. So let's talk Final Mile and e-commerce. First, the problem is shippers lose sight of Final Mile in e-commerce. In the world of digital supply chains, it is easy to lose sight of Final Mile in e-commerce delivery. Shippers are so focused on moving the product closer to consumers and fulfilling e-commerce demands that they overlook the most important leg of the journey, getting it to the customer. Moreover, limitations of available drivers and capacity have pushed major retailers and supply chain entities to consider alternative Final Mile delivery options. Even Walmart has experienced major problems in staying competitive with Amazon, testing out new Final Mile services. Challenges in Final Mile in e-commerce include the following. Infrastructure for supply chains was designed for long distance, intercity shipping. Sudden demand changes affect Final Mile in e-commerce. Carriers face growing pressure, resulting in offloading to other carriers. And contract negotiations are ripe for revenue gains. So what about the approach? Shippers should know that a strong focus on Final Mile in e-commerce will drive customer service. The need for better efficiency and cost management in Final Mile in e-commerce means thinking outside the box for how to move more packages and stay competitive. So here's a few tips. Disruptions and other ways to take advantage of new services. The Uberization of Final Mile will become a significant factor in meeting the e-commerce surge. Possible solutions to eliminate labor-intense processes like paperwork. Eliminating labor-intensive processes within the Final Mile and e-commerce journey can result in faster delivery. Essentially, drivers have less paperwork and menial tasks to worry about, so they can focus on delivering products, not filling out link forms and obtaining delivery confirmation. Blockchain technology may be the best solution to the paperwork issue. Next, diverse Final Mile delivery activities, maintaining flexibility and scalability. Shippers need to maintain a high level of flexibility and scalability and Final Mile delivery activities. Final Mile delivery is the most deconsolidated form of any shipping strategy, implying it is multiple deliveries at numerous locations. Maintaining flexibility and scalability of Final Mile delivery activities will allow for the rapid accommodation of changes in e-commerce shipping demand. Enhanced use of sustainable practices, building brand value along the way. Success in Final Mile and e-commerce also goes back to the use of sustainable practices throughout the entire supply chain. Reducing fuel consumption, leveraging new technology to optimize routes, and speeding transportation will have the net effect of lowering your logistics costs. For Final Mile and e-commerce, this means more resources available to ensure the proper, timely delivery of a product to the customer's doorstep, work location, or store for pickup. Now, let's talk about the execution of Final Mile in e-commerce, or rather, how to improve Final Mile in e-commerce practices. Identifying the ways to improve Final Mile in e-commerce goes back to understanding the solutions and how to apply them to e-commerce demand. Shippers need to take a few steps to improve Final Mile in e-commerce to get freight to B2B customers and end users, regardless of the breakneck growth of the industry. Some of these include: remember to think about the details regarding freight claims processes. Determine liability. Think about the returns process. Don't throw in the kitchen sink on every transaction. Outsource when necessary. Use data to track performance. Solicit employee feedback and suggestions. Give customers a sense of control and power. Automate shipping status and tracking. Use intuitive interfaces. And lastly, integrate. Now, Just because you can automate, it doesn't mean not every part of final mile logistics must be autonomous. There is another aspect to the use of robotics and final mile automation. Just because drone or unguided vehicles make the final step of the journey, maybe in the near future, it does not mean that the entire final mile delivery process is automated. A driver could still be circling the neighborhood in the traditional delivery van, but perhaps in the future a drone or a unguided vehicle could be actively delivering packages from a delivery van as a landing and departing spot. This means fewer stop points, which reduces fuel costs and increases route efficiency. In conclusion, what's the big picture? Well, final mile e-commerce delivery represents one of the greatest opportunities for risk and poor customer service in the modern supply chain. Optimizing final mile in e-commerce will enhance customer experiences, build brand value, reduce costs, and more. Shippers need to start thinking about how they can improve final mile delivery by implementing these tips and understanding its unique challenges today. That's it for this week's Talking Freight. Thanks for joining us for another episode. Hold up, before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and subscribe to Ceresys' YouTube channel. You'll get up-to-the-minute info from Fast Freight 5, educational material on Talking Freight, and the